Court is back in session. Next case is clause number 329599, case of style of state of Texas versus Zane Marshall McAdams.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Doing all right today?
Yes, I'm doing fine. How are you doing? Thanks for asking.
Doing great.
This is clause number 329599, case of style of state of Texas versus Zane Marshall McAdams. Mr. McAdams, is that your full name?
It is, sir.
Mr. McAdams, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. McAdams, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. McAdams, you may put your hand down. How are you doing? Well, Mr. McAdams?
Doing well.
That's
Doing
good. Mr. McAdams, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information alleges that while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place on February 18th of, on or about February 18th of 2021, that you committed the class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. McAdams, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to this charge, Mr. McAdams, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. McAdams, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Mr. McAdams, do you recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
This document, Mr. McAdams, is also labeled as State's Exhibit number. Let me see this. Now, do you recognize this document? This
Yes.
document is also labeled as State's Exhibit number 1.
Yes, Your Honor.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. McAdams, I guess this is a, hold on. Okay, this is a set of initials on the line next to the box that's checked no contendere, which means no contest. Did you place your initials on this document?
I did, Your Honor.
On page 3 of this same document, Mr. McAdams, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is that your signature?
It is, sir.
On the next document, Mr. McAdams, this document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
I do, Your Honor.
At the bottom of this document, above the line that's titled defendant, is that your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
And there are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
And the second box states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
I do.
I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Mr. McAdams, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
It is, Your Honor.
Mr. McAdams, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Smith, go over these documents with you?
He did, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
I did.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
They are.
Mr. McAdams, are you a citizen of the United States?
I am.
Mr. Johnson, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, and State's Exhibit number 2, the probable cause affidavit. State, you like to offer States 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor, state offers states 1 and 2.
Any objections?
No objection.
No objections. State's Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Court take judicial notice of State's Exhibit 2, which is in the court's file. Mr. Smith, you've advised and counseled Mr. McAdams. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McAdams, your attorney, Mr. Smith, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
He had.
Mr. McAdams, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for defendant's plea of no contest, the state's recommending confinement for a period of 90 days. And we ask that the court suspend the imposition of that jail sentence, placing defendant under community supervision for 12 months, requiring payment of a fine for $750 plus completion of 60 hours of community service. And in addition to the standard probation conditions, we are asking for the DWI conditions to include DWI education, drug and alcohol assessment, and an interlock device.
Mrs. Smith, is that the agreement?
It is.
Now, Mr. McAdams, the state is offering that you serve 90 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail on this case because you'll be placed on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $750 plus court costs, which comes to a total of fine and court costs of $1,172. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, your analysis fee of $15 each month. You'll be required to pay Jefferson County DWI education class and initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $185 a month. Mr. McAdams, will you be able to pay the $185 each month?
I will, Your Honor.
You'll also be required to perform 60 hours of community service. You'll be required to attend and complete a DWI class, have a drug and alcohol assessment, and you'll be required to install a DWI interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. Mr. McAdams, do you understand the state's offer?
I do.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
I do, Your Honor.
And do you accept the state's offer?
I do, Your Honor.
Mr. McAdams, I will follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. McAdams, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney and follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
You too, sir.
Hi, Mr. McAdams.
Yeah, as he's going through his deal, I bar over there, he can, all about multitasking.
Court is in session and calls number 329-833. Case is styled the state of Texas versus Adolfo Vicente. Mr. Vicente, is that your full name? How are you doing, Mr. Vicente? You good? That's good. Now, Mr. Vicente, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Bruce Smith. Attorney Smith, do you waive a record in Mr. Vicente's case?
We do, Your Honor.
Mr. Vicente, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information alleges that on or about February 5th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Vicente, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Vicente, how do you plead? Guilty, or no contest?
Not one.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vicente, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Mr. Vicente, do you recognize this document? And on page 2 of this same document, which is states exhibit number 1, are these your initials, AC, on the line that's next to a box that's checked no contingent, which means no contest?
Yes, sir.
On the next page of the same document, Mr. Vicente, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And I have another document before me on paper. This document is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vicente, prior to signing and initialing all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Smith, go over these documents with you? Did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vicente, are you a citizen of the United States?
No.
You're not? Okay. Mr. Vicente, what country are you from?
Guatemala.
Okay. Now, Mr. Vicente, I have a document here. This document is titled for all foreign nationals except those mandatory notification countries. And it says as a non-US citizen who is being arrested, detained, you may request that we notify the country's consular office here in the United States of your situation. You may also communicate with your consular officers. A consular officer may be able to help you obtain legal representation and may contact your family and visit you in detention, among other things. If you want us to notify your consular office, you can request this notification now or at any time in the future. Do you want us to notify your consular officers at this time? And I'll get this to your attorney. Your attorney can go over that with you. And you can make your choice. And then once you make your choice, we'll have you to come back up at this time.